everyone, and welcome to the first video on this channel, a creative writing skills video about character development. Now this is a subject in creative writing that I haven't really been taught or seen taught before, so this video tries to remedy that and teach you different methods of planning and developing characters. Reasons to plan characters. Well, there are many, but here are three. It will make them seem more real, and probably more interesting as well. And people will like this because then they will be able to relate to them more, rather than just having a blank canvas character who nobody understands and wonders why they're doing the things they're doing. Number two, it will make it easier to show how they react in certain situations. If you haven't planned or properly developed them beforehand, then when they're in a situation or an event, they could react in the wrong way, and this will leave everyone confused and shocked as to why they didn't react in the way they normally do. So it's definitely crucial to plan them. Number three, it allows you to get into their minds and think their thoughts. This actually also makes it easier for you, because then you know how they will act in a certain situation, linking back to number two. So in this video, I'll be taking you through 5 different methods to originally plan characters. So first we have character arcs. And these are very, very common, and lots of people talk about them, so you should consider them. And this is when a character changes their personality to reflect changes in the plot. They could grow and achieve inner strength in order to defeat an enemy, e.g. Harry Potter, who was once a small boy living under the stairs in the Dursleys' home, but then became strong enough to eventually defeat Voldemort in the last book. Next we have the hero's journey, and this is a type of character arc, but a lot more specific, and mainly for the main protagonist in the story. It is in a wide-ranging category of stories, from anything from Star Wars to The Hobbit. So basically, it can be split into 3 main sections. The departure act, where the character goes out of their comfortable little place and sees what's ahead of them. The initiation act, where they face their conflict and they change. Then the return act, when they come home in glory. And it can also be split into 12 smaller sections, and these are limited awareness of the problem. So they don't really know what the problem is, then they increase awareness of the problem. So then they start to learn what it is. Then they don't want to change because they're really comfortable in the place that they are. Overcoming reluctance, now that they're actually not reluctant anymore to change, so they will change. Then they commit to that change, so there's no going back now they've committed to it. Then they experiment with it, for example, minor enemies. And then they prepare for the change. So this is like the act up to the final battle. Then they confront it, and this is usually a major, could be the climax of the story. And then there's consequences of the attempt to change. And so they usually get a reward, but then they might be a bit put off. So then they become dedicated again to it, and then it's their final attempt to change. So this could be defeating an enemy, and a final mastery of problem. They've defeated the enemy and they could return home in glory. Next we have personality traits of characters. Personally, I like to map out the different traits of the characters, because this actually helps me because I can see very clearly what the characters will be like. And you could write this as a list, as I like to do, or a mind map for a more visual approach. You may also want to include how their attributes change throughout the story, because they might change if they're going through a hero's journey. And as you can see here, it easily allows you to tell how that character will change. For example, in this thing it's Batman, so he's like an orphan, he's determined, he's a detective, never gives up, strong man, protector, and this just shows you, this is a really good example of mapping out the different traits of the characters. So there's also dialogue. This is a bit of an odd one. It's another technique for planning characters. It's more natural, and it should come, it's pretty natural. You're not thinking of it in the same way, you're taking it. And to do this, you make up a conversation between 2 characters, or just like a monologue or an internal dialogue for one of them. The people in it can talk, act, and say anything you like. You can then build the traits off that conversation. For example, in this we can see that Riley Jones is trying to help Katie Stiles, but Katie Stiles just doesn't have enough money, and she doesn't think she can go from her parents to borrow money. So from this you can see that Riley Jones is helpful. Katie Stiles is determined to do it on her own. You could also take inspiration from the world around you, or the people around you. But this means that the people in your story will be more real, because they're actually based on actual people. Yeah, but you need to be careful to change certain aspects of them, otherwise people may get offended if you're portraying them in a bad way. So in this photo we can see that some people are young, some people are old, like this man. Some people seem very relaxed, like this man, and some people are in a definite hurry, like this man. So from this you can just see that different people are different, and you could just take your inspiration from actual people. Okay, now I want you to have a go. So use one of these techniques covered to plan 1 or 2 characters of your own, and do this for a story you might want to write, maybe a story you've already written, but probably not. So do it for one that you really want to write, and see how you go. So this is how I did it myself. This is how I planned my character. So I was writing a novella about slavery, and so in it, this girl is 14, she's insubordinate, headstrong. So basically I just mapped out all of the things that she was, so that I can easily refer back to it in a certain situation. Now that you have watched the whole video, can you please fill in my online survey at this address? This will be in the comments and in the description of this video if you're watching it on YouTube, and if you're not, then you can just type this into your browser. Please share this with your friends and family if you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.